We got to start in the NBA and that huge trade that happened yesterday. Remember, trade deadline is tomorrow, but yesterday the Clippers made a move, trading 11-time All-Star James Harden to the Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. The news broke less than 24 hours after it was reported that LA was working to trade Harden before the deadline and that the team and Harden were aligned in that decision. However, Harden denied that he asked to be traded. He elaborated by saying this to Ramona Shelburne on his Clippers departure. Quote, maybe we just don't see a future with each other. Maybe we just outgrew each other. Whatever the case may be, I feel like other situations were not like that. And that's why I can respect Steve and Elle and TL and T. Lou, because they didn't put me in a weird position as much as everybody tried to make it like that. He also added, I didn't want to feel like I was holding the Clippers up in their future. I wanted them to actually have a chance to rebuild and get some draft capital. In Cleveland, I see an opportunity to win in the East. They got a very good team, coaching staff, all of the above. As much as I wanted to stay in LA and give it a go, I've never won one before. As a basketball mind, I think we have a bit better chance. Okay, Ryan Windhorst now joins us this morning. And Wendy, we'll start with you first on this. Do you believe what James Harden is saying there in those quotes?
Not really. I think what we have here is he had a contract that is an unusual contract. It's not guaranteed for next season, but he still has a player option. So he has some level of control, but he doesn't have control over the full money. So as the Clippers played brilliantly over this last 6 weeks, he gained some leverage. And he was like, hey, let's formalize this and make sure that I'm going to be around. And the Clippers were not willing to commit to that. And so he took himself off the roster and basically shut down for 2 games, and then they traded him. It was an effective usage of leverage. It's a fascinating decision by the Cavs to try to go all in on this season, colored by the fact that they have their own contractual situation with Donovan Mitchell coming up this summer. But there's something else, guys, that I am interested in, and I'm going to spend today trying to figure out. I don't know if this is James just justifying his actions here, which, look, he's trying to protect his money. Whatever he wants to do is fine. But he mentioned that he wanted the Clippers to be able to help the Clippers in their rebuild. Like I said, the Clippers just won 17 of 21 games. That is not a team that is rebuilding. But if indeed that's true, and we'll take him at his word, and this is an interview that happened late last night, and it's early this morning, and I'm going to check this out. If they're rebuilding and then they're selling other pieces, then the league is going to be calling today asking about various pieces on their team. So we'll see whether that James was being honest or not here very soon.
James Harden is an 11-time All-Star, one of the most prolific scorers in the game of basketball, history. And he should be profoundly respected for his abilities on the basketball court. But that doesn't mean he can't spew some BS from time to time. And this is exactly what this is. The man is scheduled to get, like you said, Wendy's got a player option next year on $42 million. $13 million of it is guaranteed. Once again, you signed a bad deal. You signed a deal that didn't guarantee you the kind of money that you wanted guaranteed. Now, he's talking about being all altruistic and everything and looking out for the Clippers. Well, didn't you go to them recently and try to get a contract extension? Did you try to get more money? It was after they said no. And then after they said no, then all of a sudden here you are and you take yourself out of the lineup. Well, why are you being careful with your language right now? Because that's similar to what you did in Houston. It's similar to what you did in Philly. It's similar to what you did in Brooklyn. And you don't want to remind people of that stuff, which I don't blame him. I understand it. Being 36 years of age, averaging 25 a game, being an 11-time All-Star, averaging more points than he's averaged since 2019, 2020, since he's last averaged over the last 6 years or so. I get it. I understand it. You don't want to walk out the door looking bad. But what this comes down to is that you did it through your negotiations with your representation. You didn't sign the kind of deal that you should have signed, because if the money was right, James Harden would not be talking about leaving Los Angeles, California, where he loves, obviously, where he's from, all right, on top of that, leaving a team that's just won 17 of the last 21 or 22 games. He would not be doing that to go to Cleveland, Ohio, even in the Eastern Conference where it gives you a better chance. You ain't leaving, and I'm going to be very, very clear about this. Everybody teases me about location, because they know how I am about warm weather. You're not leaving Los Angeles for Cleveland. No disrespect to the city of Cleveland, the great, phenomenal fan base that they have. You're not leaving Los Angeles for Cleveland. Unless you're somebody like LeBron James who left Miami to go back to Cleveland because the legacy, him being from Akron, it was a bit different. If you ain't from Cleveland, if you ain't from Akron, you ain't leaving L.A., which we in the industry call la-la, okay? We love la-la, all right? You ain't leaving that to go to Cleveland, Ohio, okay? Unless the money wasn't right. That's what's going on here. James Harden can say what the hell he wants. I'm not knocking him for it. It ain't a bad decision. I respect where he's coming from. But that don't mean I got to buy his words as if it's gospel and it's rife with veracity. There's a lot of BS up in there. I just don't blame him for the BS he was spewing.
I mean, the Clippers have the best record since Christmas. A rebuild?
Well, they're probably going to play the Thunder in the first round, so maybe he looks at it from that standpoint. Here's what I would say.
Clippers, right.
This is bad news for Cleveland, all right? Because he never wins. Say what you want. He didn't win in Houston. He stunk in big games. The Nets, he got hurt. They didn't win there. Philadelphia, you want to go back to Game 7 in Boston a couple years ago? You and I were talking about it last night. He was terrible. Go back to that San Antonio-Houston series where he was 1 for 50 from 3. How about Golden State? We forget that? When he couldn't make a shot in the Golden 4 for 24 last year against the Nuggets in Game 7, he disappeared. So the idea that I want to go win one, you ain't winning one, all right? You're not winning with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know I'm right. Windy knows right.
Well,
you know I'm right.
I
don't trust the guy in a big game.
I don't know that you're right because I believe in Donovan Mitchell. I truly believe in Donovan Mitchell. Don't get me wrong. The Knicks, I give them the edge over Cleveland. I certainly give the Detroit Pistons. I don't know why nobody's not mentioning the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is the Detroit Pistons. I don't understand that, but Donovan Mitchell being on the court with you, listen, he could get some things done. I ain't sleeping on him.
But you still got Boston. Don't forget them,
Right.
too.
And Boston,
If they're
Jaylen
tight and playing.
Brown. Jaylen Brown, absolutely.
Wendy, get in here. Go ahead.
The one thing I will say about Cleveland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, we're talking about $300 million in those two guys. And James Harden's record in big games, Mad Dog, you're right, is suspect at best, terrible at worst. His track record of getting big performances from his big men is there. Joel Embiid won the MVP largely because Harden was helping him out, which he admitted at the time. Okay, I don't know how the relationship ended, but at the time it was true. So part of what the Cavs are believing here is he's going to help get more out of their big men. And frankly, the Cavs are having a very disappointing season. They felt they had to do something, and they are sticking their neck out. But this is a calculated risk.
And I will say this. I think it's a good move because let me tell you something right now. I understand him in big games. But you got to get to the big games, and he can certainly help you do that. James Harden is an elite offensive player, and Wendy is absolutely right. Allen and Mobley are going to benefit from him because he's a hell of a point guard. When he focuses on being an assist man and a distributor and a facilitator, not just a scorer, he can get the job done. This is one of the great players in NBA history in terms of regular season and non-big games. It's just that in those Game 7s, 27% shooting from the field, 17% shooting from three-point range over the last 4 games. You're talking about one of the greatest scorers in NBA history that over his last 4 Game 7s is averaging 13.8 points per game. And last year in a Game 7 against Denver in the first round, this is a guy that launches 20 to 25, sometimes 30 shots a game. He shot 2 for 8. I mean, he attempted 8 shots, and that's not the first time he's done that in big playoff games where he's taken 8 shots, 11 shots, 9 shots. It's inexplicable because it's almost like, okay, I'm ready to go to Cabo or something, as opposed to playing basketball because we know what he can do when he puts his mind to it because he's that great. That's the question mark about him. But with Donovan Mitchell, with a Mobley, with an Allen and those boys, you may not, once you get to that big game, you got other pieces that could pick up the slack if he doesn't want to.
So Harden also gives them a little bit more size, right? Hard to win with 2 guards. Now Darius Garland goes to the Clippers.
Big time threat.
The reality is, though, adding Harden now moves the Cavs to have the 3rd shortest odds to win the chip, just behind the Thunder and the Nuggets. So say what you want about how he performs in big games. He does improve their chances of winning.
I agree.
Do you think this was the right move by the Cavs?
I understand why the Cavs did it. I mean, the kids, Garland's had all sorts of toe problems. He's played 23 games this year. Last year in the postseason, he was not a factor. He was hurt, so they were compromised in that scenario. Plus Mitchell, before he put him in the Hall of Fame, and I know he's going there, let's be honest about Mitchell. He's never gotten out of the second round of the playoffs.
Yes.
And he's not played great in the second round. He did not play well against Indianapolis. He was awful. To be honest, he was awful against the Knicks.
No.
2 years ago. He was
you.
bad in that series.
Here's what I think you're missing. Number one, when he was in Utah, there was a lot of big games he showed up for where you knew he needed help and he didn't have it. When you looked at Cleveland, we saw starters for the Cleveland Cavaliers that literally played one game and then were inexplicably out for the next two. And that wasn't Donovan Mitchell. So, again, you had cats that were supposed to be on the court helping him carry the load, and they didn't show up. I believe in Donovan Mitchell, and I'm not saying he hasn't had bad games, but he's had bad games because he didn't make shots. He didn't suddenly not attempt to shoot. He didn't look lackadaisical and lethargic or apathetic. He didn't see that. He didn't go through all of that. It's Donovan Mitchell we talking about here. It's Donovan Mitchell. Let's be very, very clear about this. This is a big-time player.
Well, before we throw it back to Windy, I'll say one thing and let Windy take it from there. But I'll say one thing. I understand why Cleveland did it. They weren't going – there was a shelf life with Garland. Yeah. He doesn't play. You bring Harden in. He'll be into it. He'll help Mitchell, take a little load off him. Great point with Windy, which I hadn't thought of, with the big men. Maybe get them more involved. But here's the big issue to me. If you're asking me right now, is Cleveland going to the NBA? Forget winning it.
Right.
If you're asking me right now if Cleveland's going to the NBA final, the answer is no.
Well, before I pass it
that's my
before I pass it to Wendy, here's what I will tell you. And I think Wendy will co-sign with this. This is arguably the most prolific offensive backcourt in the NBA right now, with the combination of Harden and Mitchell leading up to the big game. No, I'm not saying the big game. Leading up to all the regular season games and those playoff games before game 6 or 7. Give me Harden and Mitchell on the offensive side of the ball. That's going to cause you headaches, particularly in the Eastern Conference. I get that part. That one game that you may need, having Donovan Mitchell there, though, that will offset it to some degree. That can offset it.
You got him in the Hall of Fame.
Oh boy. I really shouldn't be doing what I'm about to do, Shae, because I don't need the headache in my life, but here we go. I will say that there was a time in which the Cavs looked at this core that they had and said this is a 5 or 6 year run. They signed them all up and said this is going to be our window. They're all in their 20s. They have abandoned that. They didn't think that team was good enough. So now they're looking at a 2-year window, basically, because that's what they got James Harden for. Whether they guarantee his contract or give him a new deal, whatever they promised to get him to do this deal, it's a 2-year window with Donovan and James Harden. They have 2 big men. They now have a backcourt. Small forward is still open. Max Strus has been out the whole year with a foot injury. Small forward is open. LeBron James will be a free agent. So I will just point that out, and we'll see how things develop there.
Well, remember, in the offseason, leading into the season, everybody came after me because I went on the record saying that LeBron should leave Los Angeles rather than opt in and stay with the Los Angeles Lakers and go back to Cleveland, because I said LeBron James back in Cleveland. Or first of all, you see the way he's deified there, as he should be. There will be a statue erected outside that arena in Cleveland when all is said and done for that man, and he deserves it, okay? If LeBron James is back in Cleveland, this was before James Harden arrived. I sat up there and said, with Mitchell and Mobley and those boys, you coming out of the East if LeBron James was a part of that squad. So if you got Harden there, all right, they got the player option for next year, okay? And you got Mitchell there, and you don't have to lose anybody, and you add LeBron James to that mix, you damn right the Cleveland Cavaliers would be back in the NBA Finals, if not win it all, even at age 42 at the time, because that's how good the other pieces around them, that's how good the other pieces around them are. So now it makes it interesting because we're going to pay attention to what the Lakers are doing for the rest of this season, no matter what they did against the Brooklyn Nets last night. We all know they ain't better than OKC, they ain't better than Denver, they ain't better than San Antonio, they ain't better than Houston, they ain't better than Minnesota, which means to get to the playoffs, you go home in the first round, your season ends in April. LeBron might not want that as his swan song. He might want another shot at the crown to end his career, all right, tying the likes of Kobe and Tim Duncan with 5 chips if he pulls it off. What's his best shot to do that? What Wendy just pointed out. Possibly going back to Cleveland. I don't think he'll do it. Rich Paul and everybody else says that ain't happening. LeBron probably says that it doesn't happen. But damn it, minds change. Do you want a chip to end your career? Do you want one or not? Him in Cleveland with the rest of those brothers, they could do it.
Well, maybe he could watch the blueprint because now James Harden is there. But let's talk about what this means for other trades. Trade deadline is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. And, Wendy, the big fish in this is Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's what we're waiting on here. And maybe some teams are sitting on their hands to see what happens with Giannis. How does this trade with Harden impact Giannis?
Yeah, the league is waiting on it. The Harden trade doesn't really come into play at all here. So I'm watching the Miami Heat and the Minnesota Timberwolves are out there in the marketplace trying to improve the offer that they can make to Milwaukee. But they may not want to do those other deals unless they know whether Milwaukee's actually going to make the move here. This is the big thing. Milwaukee has listened. They've had some back and forth, but they haven't indicated that they're actually going to trade him. Now, we all know about how negotiations go. I suspect weeks ago that the Bucks knew that this was going to come down probably to deadline the last 24 hours. So we still are about to go into that. The Warriors have put everything they can on the table. I am hearing, I would never say that I know everything that's going on. There are lots of conversations I'm not aware of, but I am not aware of the Knicks doing stuff to improve their offer, and they don't have the offer that Milwaukee is going to take. So in my view, unless you have a mystery team, this is a 3-horse race for Giannis, but the choice is really down to the Bucks, and really I think the choice is down to Bucks ownership, because I know that Giannis is ready to move. Giannis is ready to move. These other teams are ready to move. There's ancillary pieces that our teams are ready to move. Is Bucks ownership in the next 24 hours going to say, okay, let's move on from him now? If that answer ends up being yes, you see this. And I think it's going to be interesting also. Draymond Green came out last night and basically said the Warriors have told him he's going if they get a deal with Giannis done, and he's preparing himself for it.
Well, he's preparing himself for that, even though he has no intentions of staying in Milwaukee. Trust me, Draymond will be looking to get. He forget getting out of Milwaukee. He won't be looking to get to Milwaukee. He'd be looking to move on from Milwaukee without getting to Milwaukee. So let's get that out of the way first, as it pertains to Draymond Green. You got to look out for somebody like him with the Los Angeles Lakers, because obviously that's where he would want to be if he's not a Golden State Warrior. The man is always he wants to play with LeBron James. Okay, that's what he would want to do. And Draymond, the problem with Draymond, if he goes to the Los Angeles Lakers, and let me just state this for the record. Draymond Green, a 4-time champion, one of the greatest facilitators at the forward spot that we have seen in NBA history. I'm talking about a facilitator. He will get you the ball. That's what he does to Steph Curry. Here's the problem. Nobody misses more open three-pointers than the Los Angeles Lakers. Nobody. I mean, it's to the point where you have defenders faking to defend them and running into the paint and daring them to shoot, because they actually make more contested threes than they make open threes. Yeah. The more open they are, the more they miss. I don't understand it. It doesn't make much sense. But when you look at J.J. Redick's face, this is one of the great shooters in NBA history. Just imagine what it's like for him to watch his team shoot. I mean, it's just torture. That's like Magic Johnson coaching a team and covering a bunch of dudes that can't pass. Or Kobe or Jordan coaching a team and nobody can dunk. That's what J.J. Redick is dealing with in Los Angeles. They cannot shoot. Okay? So because of that, Draymond going there, well, damn, you're going to get the ball to people, but who's going to make the shot? That's why that's problematic for them. As it pertains to Giannis, it's all about whatever deal Milwaukee gets. You got to get the right deal. You cannot lose Giannis Antetokounmpo for a boatload of stuff. If you're in Los Angeles, New York, places like that, that's different. Milwaukee, ain't nobody trying to come to Milwaukee as a free agent. You got to make stuff happen through the draft or through trades. You ain't no free agent trying to go to Milwaukee. So you got to make sure that you maximize Giannis's cachet and potential to make sure you milk a boatload of stuff. Kevin Durant goes to Houston. Phoenix got a bunch of second-round picks and stuff like that, and a couple of players in Brooks and Green, okay? You look at something like that. But Luka Doncic, one first-round pick along with a couple of players. That can't happen for Giannis. It got to be a Mikal Bridges type of thing. The Knicks gave up 5 first-round picks for that man. You ain't going to get that much, but you got to get some draft capital, plus you got to get a blue-chip player or two if you're going to lose Giannis Antetokounmpo, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. Otherwise, it's a waste.
Mikal Bridges is always the bar now. It's always the bar.
Steve's funny about the great facilitator with Draymond Green.
He is.
When Curry makes 50-footers, I can get him the ball, too.
No.
Let me see when he gets to Milwaukee and Rollins is shooting those jumpers.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not going to make the shot.
But Draymond Green.
Oh, you're hot stuff.
Hey, am I lying, Wendy? Am I lying? Draymond Green is a great passer of the basketball, getting Curry the ball. He knows Curry. He throws it despite he knows where he's at all times. He's a great facilitator.
He ain't Larry Bird.
I know.
No, stop it.
I know that.
The Bucks 4-14 without Giannis. It's a free fall right now in Milwaukee until something gets done there.